Leave me alone. No, never. I don't want you to leave me alone. I want you to be here all the time. It's great to see you again. I'm here as your cultural music maven, as Mr. Hip Hop himself, Wonder Mike. I've come to say hello and to listen to a song by NF. I recently covered a song by NF on this show and probed it without any knowledge of who this man is or what he talks about, just interpreting what I could from the work of art itself. And people seem to like it. So we're going to do another song. This is called Leave Me Alone. It has 106 million views. Again, this is the second thing I've ever heard from this guy. I have not heard it yet. I am seeing this totally fresh face, so I may say things that you know contradict some aspect of Mr. F's biography. I don't know. I'm just going to tell you what I see on the screen and what it means, even if it contradicts something that the artist himself has said. Okay, take it away.
Panic-stricken, handle business, not a joke, yeah. Manners missing, travel different, no control, yeah. Time to listen, time to zip it, keep it close. My description, highly gifted, take some notes, yeah. Lack of interest, why'd you visit, hit the road, yeah. I'm kinda twisted, so keep your distance, be a ghost, yeah. See, I'm inventive, but quite the menace. You ain't know? Well then I'm offended. Let's jog your memories, here we go, yeah. I went from nobody to kinda famous. Hide my plaques inside a closet, I just can't explain it. My wife, she tells me that she's proud and thinks that I should hang them, but I just leave them on the ground right next to my self-hatred. Yeah, mental health, where's my mental health? Diagnosed with OCD, what does that mean? We'll gather around. That means I obsessively obsess on things I think about. That means I might take a normal thought and think it's so profound. Ruminating, fill balloons are full of doubts, do the same things. If I don't, I'm overwhelmed, thoughts are pacing. They go round and round and round, it's so draining. Let's move on to something
Let's put a pause there. What he's describing seems ironic to some people, that you could be lauded for your efforts and win all sorts of plaques and awards, and that you would want to bury those things in your closet. But this frequently happens. Sometimes it's called imposter syndrome, the idea that you don't feel that you really deserve the success or the recognition that you've received. And it could just be plain old narcissism, that very often it's the people who are most likely to brag about themselves who feel the smallest about themselves. That is an ordinary thing. And the solution to it, I'm not the first to say it, is not to think less of yourself, but to think of yourself less. It's a hard trick to do. The fact that he links it to obsessive compulsive disorder, I don't know if he actually has that condition, but what OCD does is it has you focus obsessively on these really, really minor things, which robs even the receipt of some kind of award of the joy of that, because you find the one little thing that's wrong, the one little strand of the carpet that's off kilter, and it just drives you crazy. You've got to straighten everything out, comb everything out, and it just drives you crazy and depletes the joy from the experience.
Running the game if they don't even know it. Like I'm undercover and knowing to blow it. They come out and know it, they don't even notice. The flow is so cold you would think it was slowing. I'm under the weather but wind isn't blowing. I got an umbrella for difficult moments. You gotta admit it, I'm very devoted. I'm out in the rain but it don't always so high. Hold up my balloons and cover up my face. I can feel them weighing on me every day. I should let them go and watch them float away, but I'm scared if I do then I'll be more afraid. Tell them how I feel but they don't wanna change. Tell them how I feel but they remain the same. Loosen up my grip, they say that's not okay. Quiet, 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 quiet. Hey, leave me alone. Hey, yeah. Quiet, 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 quiet. Yeah, leave me alone. Yeah. Quiet, 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 quiet. Yeah, leave me alone. I hate when they debate if we're underrated. We're so overlooked that they're looking over our numbers, Nathan. We don't do enough interviews or go out in public lately. We don't post enough on our socials to keep the buzz from fading. Let it fade, yeah, let it fade. Once it's decimated, then you drop a song out of nowhere and all the fans embrace it. Then the buzz will surface again, it's part of my operation. I don't need advice from my doubts right now, end of conversation.
Put a pause there. I love this. And this is one spot where I take it that this guy has all sorts of problems with drugs, and he clearly has some mental problems that he's talking about in the song that I can't directly relate to. But the one thing I can directly relate to here is that I am a content creator. That is my job, and I know exactly what he's talking about, which is, oh wow, you had a big hit, you had something break away, whether it's a book or an interview or an episode or whatever it is. Okay, well, what's the first thing that happens? You never get to just take a moment, sit back and say, okay, that was good. Now we'll wait for the next idea to come up. No, what happens is immediately all the publicity people and all of the consultants and all the marketers, they say, okay, well, we've got to maintain the momentum. You're not doing nearly enough. I know you just went from 0 to here, but you're way underrated. You got to go from here to here. And it can feel as though you are never able to catch what you are chasing. And he's describing that with the song. And he says, no, I let the buzz die down. The buzz is going to die down, then I'm going to have another thought, and it'll buzz up again. Come on, leave me alone. I don't need any more doubts. Because what he's describing in the first part of the song too is the more successful he becomes, the more praised he is, the more doubts there are. And he's holding on to these doubts and these burdens and these traumas that he's experienced in these balloons. That's what the balloons are symbolizing. He says, I want to let them go, but then I fear that I might even be more afraid because I'm going to let them go. I'm going to lose a whole lot of my identity. And so paradoxically, the better things seem to be going, the worse one feels. And I think everybody in their own lives has experienced this to some degree. Here's the little secret. You're not going to have peace until you ground that peace in the good that you're searching for and who is synonymous with the good. Okay, keep going.
Shut your mouth, better tone it down, close it now. If you make a sound, I'ma change it down. Funny how they be acting loud, coming unannounced, floating round. Man, the kid is wild, pretty wild, true. I'm kinda funny, but don't really show it. I keep it together, but have a disorder. I go to my room and I sit in my corner and talk to myself in a language that's foreign. I think of a rhyme and I have to record it, but no, if I don't, I wake up in the morning and question my life again, always avoiding. I hate to be different, but hate to be normal, so I hold up my balloons and cover up my face. I can feel them weighing on me every day. I should let them go and watch them float away, but I'm scared if I do, then I'll be more afraid. Tell them how I feel, but they don't wanna change. Tell them how I feel, but they remain the same. Loosen up my grip, they say that's not okay. Quiet, 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 hey, leave me alone. Hey, yeah, quiet, 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 yeah, leave me alone. Yeah, quiet, 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 yeah, leave me alone.
Yeah, put a pause there. It's that quiet, 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 leave me alone. I loosen up my grip, but they say that's not okay. He's talking about these burdens and perhaps even these vices and perhaps even these sins that have taken control of his life. And what he's describing is not delusional. I think a lot of people listen to this and they say, oh, you're just suffering from a delusion, a kind of dysmorphia, because you do have all of this success and you have this talent and you've got all this popular acclaim. And in your mind, you're saying, I don't really deserve that, or I'm still a fallen, broken, terrible, degenerate person. And what a lot of people watching are going to say is, no. What you're hearing in your mind, that's false. What he's saying is, yeah, I got all these plaudits, I got all this success, I've got all these new responsibilities, I've got this whole path to make another hit after hit after hit, but these balloons that I'm holding on to, they're telling me, no, you're still the same person. And so while our sins and our vices and our broken character and habits of virtue perverted to vice, the fact that they are there does remain, and that really does tell you something. And this is why people who become really rich and who become really famous often become miserable. At the end of the night, it doesn't matter if you're going to bed in a little shack or if you're going to bed in a big mansion in Malibu. If you are just riddled by addiction and pride and envy and gluttony and wrath and lust and all these terrible, deadly sins, well, it doesn't matter if you got all the money and all the success and all the awards in the world, that is still going to be gnawing at your soul. And so he's not mistaken to believe that. That is a real problem that he has to confront.
So persistent, don't forget this, hold attention, soul is bending, no pretending, open-ended, low percentage, so demented, whole consensus, flow tremendous, no apprentice, no incentive, show intensive, so possessive, tone aggressive, watch your step when I hold up my balloons and cover up my face. I can feel them weighing on me every day. I should let them go and watch them float away. But I'm scared if I do, then I'll be more afraid.
Put a pause there. I love this image of you're texting Fame. Fame comes to you and says, hey, you want to do something together? And you say, no, I'm not that interested. It doesn't feel right. Okay, and then he says, NF, the character says, hey, Fame, hey, I got this song, I think it's pretty good. And any artist knows, anyone who's ever created anything out of his own originality, through his own artistic skill, will say, hey, there's such a vulnerability when you say, here is my artistic vision. And you're waiting, and he doesn't get a text back. And he doesn't get a text back. Finally, Fame says, yeah, that song sucked. And it's devastating. It's devastating because you can find yourself, if you are in public life, really at all, and especially if you're in the arts, chasing fame. Earlier on, when NF wasn't as focused on fame and wasn't in the thrall of fame, he would just make the art and he didn't care. Fame calls him, he says, yeah, whatever, I'll call you. I don't need to talk to you right now. But then as you get a little more into it and you hear all of those buzzy people from the earlier part of the song, they say, buzz, 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 we gotta keep up the buzz. All of a sudden now, NF starts changing his focus and he starts to chase fame. And then fame is a fickle lady, and Fame just says, nah, that song sucked. So now he's lost, he's desperately chasing this car. He's the dog chasing this car that he's not gonna catch up to. The car just keeps pulling further and further away. Fame can also be a problem when you're the dog that does catch the car. Not to bring it back to religion again, but I guess I am trying to bring it back to religion because ultimately that's what all of this is really talking about, these spiritual sicknesses. But if you start chasing these idols of this world, you're gonna end up in a really bad spot, as the protagonist of the song is.
Leave me alone, leave me alone, ay, leave me alone. Ay, yeah, quiet, 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 yeah, leave me alone. Yeah, quiet, 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 ay.
There he is. And he brings his burden to what? The song ends, he's handing his burdens over to a hand in a lab coat. I assume the hand in the lab coat is representative of drugs, of pharmaceuticals. And he's saying, I can't, leave me alone, leave me alone. Well, you were not leaving me alone, why don't you leave me alone? And so we can temporarily numb our troubles with things like drugs, or food, or drink, or sex, or even wrath, or even you can numb it with all sorts of sins, but that's not gonna be conducive to happiness in the long run, which he knows. That's why he's been pushing this cart along, trying to deal with his problems the whole time, but then when it gets so loud, it's so loud, he can't stop, they won't leave him alone. Then he gives in to temptation, which people often do, which is why we gotta confess, and why we gotta try to fix the real root problems here and repent and turn our eyes toward our true good, because all these fleeting desires, fame, fortune, drugs, all the rest of it, those ultimately will not make us happy. They can be good in their proper sphere. You can do good things if you've got some fame. You can do good things with money, and money can be good to keep a roof over your head and keep your family fed. Even drugs as medicine can serve a purpose in their proper place. But when you pursue them as an end unto yourself, then you end up stomping around in an immense amount of pain, like the protagonist of the song, and then you fall again into temptation, which is something one does not want to do. Okay, I'm Michael Knowles. We'll see you next time.